Lately, I've been thinking a lot about labels because when I was younger, labels were the most important thing to me. The labels that I gave myself and that other people gave me were what made up who I was. I knew who I was because I knew I was a Ravenclaw, I was an artist, I was a nerd. I tried to be a little bit of a tomboy. I had these specific things that I told myself were part of my personality. I had to be smart and creative. I had to look a certain way and act a certain way because of the labels that I had put on myself. And I held on to them so tightly because they were my identity. So if I didn't fit perfectly into those categories, I started to freak out and think that I wasn't who I wanted to be or wasn't who I was supposed to be, when I wasn't as smart as a Ravenclaw should be, or if I didn't draw to relax like an artist, or when I wasn't into the most nerdy things possible, if I was a little bit more girly than I wanted to be. And a big thing was I wanted to dress in all black, but at the same time I wanted to wear floral, and I didn't feel like I could do both. I felt like I either had to go with this more emo side, more goth fashion thing, or I had to pick the pink and the flowers, and that whichever one I picked would completely define my personality. So I tried as hard as I could to stick to the labels I had given myself and push anything that didn't fit into those labels off to the side and not look at it. I was so solid in those labels for a really long time. I was solid in who I was supposed to be. And then something happened just a couple months ago that kind of shook me up. A few months ago, I took the Pottermore sorting quiz. And I was not sorted into Ravenclaw. I was sorted into Hufflepuff, and that kind of messed me up for a while. And I know it might seem kind of ridiculous that this is what caused my whole view of myself to change, but that just shows you how attached I was to these labels. I didn't know who I was, because if I wasn't a Ravenclaw, then what had I been this whole time? And it took me a really, really long time before I could accept the fact that I am a Hufflepuff, that a lot of the things I do are very Hufflepuff, but that I'm also still a little bit of a Ravenclaw. And even just up until a few months ago, that was not acceptable to me. I couldn't be both. I had to be one. I had to have a label that told me who I was. And since that moment, I started to realize that a lot of the labels I had given myself had changed. I wasn't as much of a tomboy anymore. I was more girly. I wasn't as nerdy as I always thought I was. And so I completely redefined my personality within a few months, and it just kept spiraling, and I kept noticing things that were different than what I always thought that I was. I mean, I cut all my hair off when so long I had been determined to have the longest hair I possibly could. I told myself I was never going to cut my hair short again. But I changed. And the labels that I had given myself had changed. And even then, I still didn't fit into my new labels perfectly. I started to wear dresses every day because I thought that that was who I wanted to be. I wanted to be super girly and wear dresses all the time. But then I realized that I still like wearing plaid button-up shirts and jeans. I still like to dress in a way that's a little bit more tomboy, but I also like to wear dresses and pink skinny jeans and flower crowns. And I don't have to pick just one. I can be both of those. I realized I can be nerdy without specifically going after super nerdy things. Just being excited about the things that I already do love without trying to prove that I'm nerdy by knowing about like some obscure video game that I don't even like. I realized that I don't have to put labels on myself, and that I can be whoever I want, and that I can like whatever I want. And it doesn't matter that my personality isn't defined by labels. And I'm not saying that I'm not still going to use labels. Like, I am a Hufflepuff. I have embraced that. But there are other things that I don't need to define to myself or anyone else. I can just be who I am without caring about what labels that goes under. I don't have to limit myself to what I've labeled myself as and what the world has labeled me as. I can be whoever I want and do whatever I want. So, yeah, that turned out a lot deeper than I expected it to be. But anyway, thanks for watching. Thank you to everyone who's already subscribed to my channel. I love you all so much, and please like this video and subscribe and share and talk to me. Tell me if you've ever felt this way or gone through any of these things. I hope you guys all know that no matter what labels you or the world may put on you, you are wonderful human beings. I'm so bad at endings.